Thanks for joining me for this edition of Artico. I'm Anquinette Crosby coming to you from the ubiquitous Beauty, Hair, and Health Show here at the Washington Convention Center. This hair-raising event takes place every year.
Also on today's show, you're going to see the latest in nail art, the fine art of quilting, some award-winning theater, and get notes from a classic jazz spot.
Welcome to Artico, art in your community. In 2013, the H Street Playhouse reopened as the Anacostia Playhouse, moving to Shannon Place in Southeast Washington. It's both a rental facility and producing organization. It hosts readings, jazz concerts, after-school activities, and more.
In September, the Playhouse's resident company, Theater Alliance, presents an encore presentation of Word Becomes Flesh. This award-winning play explores Black male lives through word, dance, and music.
Theater Alliance has actually been around for a very, very long time. And then in 2001, it transitioned from being a community theater to a professional theater, and in 1 year went from putting on like 1 or 2 plays a year to having a storefront on H Street, which was the H Street Playhouse. But then the person that owned the H Street Playhouse opened up the Anacostia Playhouse. And we transitioned over here to the Anacostia Playhouse and have been here for going on 5 years now.
We do both producing of things ourselves. We will function as a rental house for people to come in. And we have our resident theater company, Theater Alliance. So they do 3 to 4 shows a year, so that's kind of our anchor of what goes on. And then around that, we have a couple of other companies who consistently will come in.
As we transitioned over here, we changed our mission statement really because of Word Becomes Flesh. And the new mission statement today is to develop, produce, and present socially conscious, thought-provoking work that engages our audience in active dialogue.
Every day begins with a black man on the run. As soon as the sun threatens to rise in the morning sky, changing dark grayish blues into orange red hues, early to rise, early to run.
Word Becomes Flesh, it's really an ensemble piece, 5 men. We're all kind of 5 fingers on the same hand. The speeches that I gave in the play tackle the subject of running. Why do we run? What is it in the DNA of us as black people, specifically black men? Why is that in our kind of bodies and our bones to run from responsibility or run from things that are uncomfortable? And where is that rooted? Where does that come from? I have another speech that kind of talks about the slave mentality that still kind of plagues us today as black people in 2017. And as uncomfortable as some of the content may make some of our audience members, it's all rooted in our truth, our experience.
Why are the minds inclined to design systems which confine my carrier and bind them to themselves with political ties for the sole purpose of promoting their own economic advantage?
And our experience makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I'm gonna have to deal with that. And this play really makes you have to deal with it.
I wanted to make sure that we saw all the different nuances of black men, our strengths and our vulnerabilities, our spiritual side, and then our ratchet side, just to keep it real, basically. Towards the end of the show, where we see these 5 black men holding a newborn baby. I mean, how often do we see that? We typically don't even see one black man holding a child on TV or film often enough, but then to see black men really lovingly holding a newborn baby is an image that, to me, that's really what the whole show is about.
We're looking to curate a number of different pieces and have conversations about the multiplicity of what it is to be Black in America. The Word Becomes Action Festival is a festival that is tied to the theater's production of Word Becomes Flesh. And so the Word Becomes Action Festival is all about getting communities to move into action. There are 4 pieces that hold the festival together, and those 4 pieces create conversations for the week. All of those conversations still rooted and tied to the core show, Word Becomes Flesh. After every performance of Word Becomes Flesh, there is going to be a community conversation. And in that community conversation, we're linking audiences with how and what they can do to actually improve the state of Black America, Black men in America.
I think theater can be a window or a mirror. And sometimes it's both for one person, and sometimes it's one for one person, you know? So you can watch this play and it can be a window into somebody else's life to understand and grow compassion and empathy, or it can be a mirror where you say, like, that's me. Thank you, yes, I agree.
From a simple coat of nail polish to elaborate works of art, the manicure has become its own fashion statement. Getting your nails done today is a date with an artisan, each nail artist with their own technique and spectacular designs.
The new TV show Claws and the power of social media are nailing it by directing our attention to this popular art form. Artico recently visited DC Salon Couture in District Heights, Maryland. It's an award-winning shop with a bevy of creative nail designers who are always on point.
What I see now as far as the nail trends is more textured services, so more foils or more rhinestones or three-dimensional, but the social media keeps you on your feet. My ideas for my designs come from getting on social media. I'll get inspiration from art. I'll get inspiration from patterns that I see on people's, clothes. Art is art, whether it's on a nail, whether it's on a canvas. Some of the adornments that we use are charms, and those charms range from pearls to rings to flowers. You can put anything on the nail. If you are creative enough and the client allows you, and that's what we like in here, our clients trust us, so we're pretty much able to express ourselves through art on their nail. Stiletto nails are what I have on, and these are, you can see, they are similar to or supposed to be replicated from the stiletto heel, which is pointy. So that's where you get the stiletto phrase from. We have Rihanna to thank for that. I am specializing always in rhinestones. My clients love glitz. They love bling. It's pretty, it goes with everything, and they love it. I love it. Claws reached out and they asked us to do a premiere of their show, and so we were able to get on social media and ask people to do a private screening of the new show, and so we made it a party with red carpet. It was food, it was lots of fun. So absolutely love Claws. The show has brought this business a lot of money. They contacted me and told me that I won a challenge, because all you have to do, and then you just showcase your nail art, and so I was able to win a gift bag and get exposure. That show focal point is nails, and so someone who may be a typical businesswoman who may want to just come in for a manicure, they are now able to say, oh, okay, well, instead of just regular polish, maybe I can get a little accent nail. You can still be trendy and still look nice and professional at the same time. Some of the awards that Salon Couture has won, the Steve Harvey Hoodie Awards, I want to say 5 times in a row for Best Nails. Glenn Jackson, the Golden Scissors Award. And we've gotten a lot of accolades through just social media, just the shout out, or whether it's someone who's in the area who's an artist or a celebrity. I think that's an award as well, because that brings us extra attention. So, I mean, anywhere from Janelle Monáe to Chrisette Michele to, I just had a recent call to do Mary Murray's nails. So it's an honor and a privilege to just be recognized in your own community and to have it radiating throughout the other states to say, hey, come to this salon because they're going to hook you up. The nail designs can go on any nail. As long as you have a nail bed, you can get designs. You would want to make sure that nail is free of oil. I would put gel polish on top of it so that it will secure the designs. It usually ranges from about 2 to 3 weeks. The biggest nail trendsetter is Beyonce and Taraji P. Henson from the show Empire. So a lot of people look at her nails, a lot because of her character, and they say, oh my goodness, I saw this on the show, could you duplicate that? And she also posts her nails sometimes as well. And people are liking it, and people are screenshot it, and they'll send it to you. It's just mainly keeping up with social media and keeping up with the trends. The nail art business has really blossomed since social media has taken off.
And what goes better with a lovely set of nails and a fabulous hairdo? We talked to some hair experts here at the Expo about the latest in black hair trends.
If you're in business and you're trying to make some money, you clearly know that black women set the tone and set the pace for the hair direction. So they can say I'm wearing weaves today, and they can say I'm not wearing weaves tomorrow, and I'm going natural, and they could literally change the whole economic landscape. We saw there was an extension and weave movement for a very long time in this country, but black women now are coming in their own direction and being able to have the versatility to go from straight to curly at their leisure. And so that's why you're seeing all of the natural hair movement. For a very long time, black women were really afraid to embrace color. But while people try to remain natural and not have their hair chemically processed or altered, coming up with alternative ways of coloring that natural hair and keeping its natural texture has been a challenge for a lot of people. We're gonna see a lot of those soft pastel colors that we have not necessarily engaged in hair. You're gonna see them moving away from a lot of the cinnamons, the reds, the wines, the blondes, and you're gonna start to see the blues, the purples, the yellow, the neons. It's a whole part of this new engaged movement.
When it comes to natural hair, a lot of people are into the cornrows, the feed-in braids. You have people that have locks, and you have people that do twist-up styles, twist-out styles, anything natural, funky, and fly. When it comes to barbering trends, as you can see in my hair, a lot of the barbers now are doing edgy designs, anything that makes, everyday life a little bit more fun.
The natural hair movement is at the top of the food chain. More companies are gearing their brands to cater to women with natural hair because people are trying to save their natural hair texture, and they want that kinky stuff that people complained about for years. They want to make their hair kinky to kind of just fit in with the in crowd of what's hot. And I'm so excited about this movement because so long black women had to feel like they had to be somebody else or try to look like somebody else or straighten their hair to fit in. Now they're fitting in, and everybody else is trying to figure out how they can create that texture.
Years ago, quilts were created as a practical homemade craft. They made our beds look pretty and kept us warm at night. But quilting has evolved over the years. Today, these masterpieces grace the walls of homes, museums, and galleries.
We talked to 2 local fiber artists. They use both modern and traditional quilting techniques. These quilts are beautiful works of art.
I think there's a big resurgence in the popularity of quilting in general. Quilting is making an object that is kind of like a sandwich. It has 3 parts to it. You take fabric and you piece together a design, that's called piecing. Then you layer it on top of a batting. Then you use a backing. And the act of sewing all of these 3 pieces together is quilting. I was making items for myself, for friends, as crafts, sweatshirts and t-shirts that had appliques on the front with African fabric. And I got to a point where I realized that I was making little quilts on top of these garments already.
Traditional quilts are usually made to be put on a bed. The early quilters always made traditional quilts. They had to keep their families warm, so they gathered scraps anything that could be sewn together. They used trousers, they used seed sacks, old clothing, anything that could be stitched, they used in their quilts.
People who do contemporary quilting take what they've learned there and move the quilt into another expression. With the advent of technology, you can design a quilt on a computer now, move things around, change sizes, and come up with something that's totally unique.
I may use traditional piecing in my quilts, but the function of my quilts are opposite the traditional quilters. My quilts are to be hung on a wall, put on a table, or draped over a piece of furniture.
There are all kinds of new dyes, new tools. There are all kinds of things that make quilt making today very exciting. One thing I like to use a lot is photo transfer, where I can take a photograph, I can manipulate it in Photoshop, print it on fabric, I can cut it apart. It's like painting. You can create something that has a totally contemporary look and feel to it.
Quilters have been meeting in groups for years. It's something that you get together with your friends and your neighbors and your family, and you socialize.
The African American Quilters of Baltimore was a safe place for me to go to really get involved in quilt making. There are people there that are master quilters, there are people there that are inexperienced quilters, and I learned so much from those women and got so much encouragement to take my quilting even further. You learn from other people.
The basic hallmarks of an African American quilter is that we are drawn towards African fabrics because we like to see images that look like us. We like the bright designs. I don't think we have a special color. We do like, I think, as a people, we like bright colors.
There does seem to be an emphasis on an expression of our history, particularly with the seminal show, And Still We Rise. It's been touring for 2 years, it's still touring. I'm very proud to be in that exhibit. I have a quilt about Paul Robeson.
I'm in a show called The Best of the Best. 2 of my works were selected to be in the show. One piece is called It's Only a Paper Moon. The pieces in the quilt are made from pieces of paper that I actually made myself. And the roundness of one of the pieces reminded me of a moon.
Quilts are an effective means of telling stories. One that is important to me is a quilt that I did about myself and my daughter. She was a very little girl. We were in a fire. I could see flames licking out the windows and I ran out. The next day we came in and the apartments above me on either side had been demolished and ours was not touched. And I always told my daughter, we've got a guardian angel. And so I did a story quilt about it. Being an art quilter means there's no limits to your expression. Once you learn the rules of quilting, you don't have to follow the rules of quilting. I find that exciting. If you have a political view you want to express, you can do it. If you are feeling that you want to just be involved in creating something astoundingly beautiful, you can do it.
Looking for some cool things to do with your friends and family? Here are some fabulous choices. The encore presentation of the play Word Becomes Flesh goes on now through October 8th. This highly praised production is the recipient of 5 Helen Hayes Awards, including Outstanding Play, Director, and Ensemble. Celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with the world-renowned salsa company DC Casaneros. They'll perform their signature blend of Cuban dance styles, including Afro-Cuban rumba, cha-cha-cha, and mambo, with special guest performances and live music. You can see it all on Friday, September 29th at Dance Place. Also, the American Film Institute presents its 28th Latin American Film Festival. This year's annual event includes films from Spain and Portugal. and explores Ibero-American cultural connections. The festival is through October 4th. Help the Anacostia Community Museum celebrate 50 years as a premier cultural institution east of the river. Enjoy live performances, food, kids' activities, art workshops, guest DJ, and more at a community block party. Activities will take place inside and outside the museum. Join the fun on October 7th. And love the blues? The Mosaic Theater Company presents The Devil's Music, The Life and Blues of Bessie Smith. The story of the iconic blues singer is packed with songs like St. Louis Blues and Tain't Nobody's Business If I Do. Devil's Music runs through September 24th.
If you're a fan of Duke Ellington, Mary Lou Williams, and John Coltrane, then this next story is for you.
Twice a week, these titans of jazz are resurrected in a little club. Alice Jazz and Cultural Society is located in DC's Brookland neighborhood. But if you're looking for smooth jazz, this isn't the place. Voted City Paper's best new jazz venue in 2016, Alice is where straight-ahead jazz meets community.
We have good jazz music here, and we just bring what the people want to hear.
This is for the community, so we've been building, actually, a whole culture around jazz, classical jazz. This is my husband's old law office. We didn't do anything with it for a long time, so we had to actually rebuild the building over again. We started before he passed away, and we worked on it for about 4 or 5 years. We're still working on it.
The cats who come in and play, they're all top flight musicians. The same people you can go to Strathmore, Blues Alley, anywhere to go see these cats and pay $30, $40 per person. You come here at Jack's, you can get to see them between $5 and $10 all the time. And they're giving back to the community that made them who they are.
The children come in free. The students that are learning how to do jazz in high school and in elementary school. So they're learning all of the history of jazz, history of music. No alcohol is served here. We ask people if they're going to drink that have to step out and go to their car or some other place, because we're not trying to influence the habits of people. I worked in the field of addiction medicine for 20 years. In the beginning of my training, I realized that I wanted to have a place for people who were in recovery. Wouldn't have to worry about someone asking if they want to have a cocktail or some kind of drink.
Most of the places you play at as a jazz artist, you can count on your hand how many places where the people actually come to hear the music, not to eat or not to get fired up drinking. And then they, loud and rambunctious and doing dumb things. So they don't get that here.
We're open on Sunday and Wednesdays from 6 to 9. And we also rent the place.
Since we've opened, other people have now seen that jazz is not dead.
And you see the different kinds of races and you see the different age groups.
Man, everybody talks about Alice's Jazz and Cultural Society. I say they should, because we are a special place. And we are special and we are affordable and you feel good, beautiful place on the inside. And the people coming here, their spirit is just like right on time.
And here's a did you know? Did you know nail polish originated in China around 3000 BC?
Polish ingredients included beeswax, egg whites, gelatin, and vegetable dyes. In ancient Egypt, nail colors often signified status. The lower classes wore nude and light colors, while high society painted their nails in bright colors.
And now you know. Thanks for watching this edition of Artico. I'm Anquinette Crosby, and until next time, always remember to follow your arts.
This program was produced by WHUT, Howard University Television, and made possible by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.